Yo, social media has had every fit guy thinking that they're like number one guy to provide diet advice, fitness advice, all that kind of stuff. I think it's for me, it's quite overwhelming. It's almost like too much information. Um, Especially when you come from someone that's relatively fit, but also kind of wants to get to that next level. So I wanted to discuss, our fitness routines, diet routines, things like that, and just kind of, see the differences, talk about our differences, and people can kind of see where we come from with all of this.
So I think it was my friend who said this. He said, yo, Punjabi people just look like they hit harder. And although that might be true, it does have like two distinct divides when it comes to like Indian diets and Punjabi diets. Everybody knows that like we have a very carb heavy and like oil heavy kind of diet. It's very greasy. And that's because how we grew up and how our ancestors were raised to with their foods. And it's been tough. It's a tough battle, like to have those foods being cooked up at home. If you live in a traditional home, to some degree, you're going to be eating that kind of food and not expect to gain weight or be unhealthy to the day to day where you have to work out. And even if you do, where do you end up? I think somehow we got very lucky. We have pretty good genetics, I'd say. And we were always athletic from the get-go, played a lot of sports, ran a lot. My body's very, very different from yours. I think you have a very like stocky and, kind of like, what would you say? Stocky and like kind of,
Yeah, more stocky, like a beefier build, I would say. And then
right.
you're much more lean and kind of like whatever. I don't know those three body types anymore, but it's like just, I mean,
I think it's like an endomorph and
yeah, different body
mesomorph.
types. There's nothing, unique about that kind of thing with people, obviously. But I like the topic about Indian food and culture and diet and stuff. Like Indian people, like we're not vegetarians, but Indian people generally, it's a vegetarian based diet, so it's very carb heavy because it just provides you a lot of fuel. But at the same time, it's not the healthiest, and especially the really obviously we all know the really yummy Indian foods, butter chicken, samosa, all that good stuff. Like that's like the kind of the top tier food. But Indian food in general can be healthy, but the ones that we end up cooking in our house traditionally aren't the best, and they're not really protein heavy. But we ate a lot of that, right? Like because we grew up in a traditional house, so we had a lot of roti, that kind of stuff. And then until we kind of consciously were like, we want to start making our own food because of what we knew to eat and so on, right? So what do you think?
I think even before that, before we knew that the food was kind of impacting us, we had an edge purely because of athleticism. And I think being athletic, having that mindset it kind of blinded us from the reality of the food's setbacks. We burned off so many of those calories running around as kids. And then on top of that, we got into working out because we weren't particularly pushed towards it, but we were like, we need to work out. So a lot of the problems that maybe everyone else can relate to, we might not, because we weren't in horrible shape, or at least I wasn't, not in horrible shape, but I mean, my situation was always ideal. I was either too skinny at the start, which, I mean, I was a kid, whatever. And I could eat whatever I wanted. I still can, which is annoying to a lot of people. And I can eat whatever I want and honestly maintain like my weight to the pound, seriously. So I can keep a low body fat, but I don't think I'm off the hook there, or anybody else is off the hook, perhaps. You have to stay active in terms of beyond just lifting weights. Lifting weights is a very like static kind of workout, which a lot of people do, and it doesn't really bring up that heart rate as much as, and this is my belief. Like, I think, like, I don't know if you completely agree, but I've always told you this. I'm like, you got to keep that heart rate high. You have to do workouts and you have to play like sports, do things that are your body's moving. If you eat and you're still, that's when, the fat kind of accumulates and it doesn't burn as energy would.
Yeah, and I think like also like when I was younger or getting into fitness, I wanted to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I wanted to be like the biggest guy ever. And then when I realized that it was not attainable, my interest kind of changed to become healthier as I also got a little bit older. But my interest became to be healthier, heart wise and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, cardio is a big part of our routine. I actually just this past 34 days ago, I just signed up for my first half marathon. So I'm training for that. That's gonna be a big thing. Yeah. So we're doing it together actually. Yeah. So that's gonna be a big thing for me. Half marathon is quite a bit of running. So that's my big physical goal this year, and I know for Teshwar as well. But
I don't act like you weren't trying to avoid it as well. For so long, my thought was I'm gonna run 10K or I'll do the half marathon later. I told him just sign up. You can run it. You may not be hitting the time you want, but I'm like, you're not like Kipchoge or something. Like it doesn't matter. You run the marathon. You will hit the target if you set it, right? So and then he did. He's like, yeah, you're right. He got convinced by some other people too, probably his fiance and all, but we're gonna run that in May, and I have zero doubts. Like it's gonna be awesome. I don't think I'm
yeah,
not gonna
I think
finish
with the
it.
energy, we'll be able to do it. We run often enough, more than most people, I would say. So
You just have to start. Once you start,
yeah,
then you actually start to fall in love with it. The first maybe kilometer or two is always the worst, but nothing will nothing will build you like running. That is a mental and physical endeavor that it's a completely different thing than working out. It's
yeah, it's
easy to work
solo,
out.
right? It's just you in your own head.
It makes working out look easy
Mhm.
when you run, because when you start running, especially in the start, um, that's it's so rewarding, because if you say you're going to run 5K, if you say you're going to run 10K, you won't go 11. You're done at 10. If you set the target, you run it, and you do usually hit it one way or another at some point. But it's such a mental thing, because humans are meant to be runners. We're animals that were meant to run. We're long distance animals, and we're not meant to just like work out and lift heavy crazy weights, which looks good, it builds you, but we are runners genetically.
So let's just briefly touch on our routines, like when it comes to the gym, just real quick. So I have always been a morning workout person. As much as I enjoy going to the gym at 7 o'clock when there's 8,000 people at the gym, I am a morning person, mostly because of work and things like that, and just I get busy in the evenings. But I enjoy working out in the morning. I'm usually like a 5 a.m. kind of guy. I get in, do my thing, and I'm out. And Desher, what's your routine?
Well, no, I want to still go on your team, but tell me like how you manage it and what you kind of feel is you haven't been working out for 1 year or 2 years. You've been working out for like a very, very long time. There are different body types, and me too. I'll get into that. Mine's a little bit all over the place, and I don't really follow a certain plan, but you're systematic. I'm not very systematic in that way. I just kind of do what my body wants. But tell me more about how you, over the years, how different working styles of working out has played out for you.
So I get kind of bored of the gym. Like I'm talking like a traditional gym. So I've worked out for whatever, like how many years I did your whole like arm day, leg day, whatever. And I stopped the gym and I went and I did 4 or 4.5 years of rock climbing. So I joined a climbing gym and that became my obsession. And I did that for a long time. And I wouldn't say I didn't master rock climbing at all, but I got very good. After rock climbing, I I put that on. I've never really stopped climbing, but I would say I put that on a pause. Went back to the gym. I just like trying different things. I get bored of the routine, so I like doing activities and things like that. Um, but again, I still will go to the gym and do like those traditional lift days and stuff like that. But one thing I know we've been talking a lot about is we want to get back into MMA because that was a lot of fun and in all aspects a very good thing to know as well, right?
Yeah, I did Muay Thai for like 2 years, and again, one of those things that will just humble you beyond belief. An hour of that will have you 3 times as tired as being at the gym, which is what I'm saying. It's like we are meant to be kinetic, right? We're supposed to be moving, and that is what's really going to give you the best shape possible. You kind of have to bring that ego down a bit, because like for a really long time, If I am to get into my kind of shifts of fitness, I wanted to just get like big and jacked. And I realized that's not what my body is built for, mine specifically. Uh, I was always lean and I was always on the skinnier side, struggling to gain weight. And I always wanted the opposite because, you want to be buff and such. And I got that kind of in university when I would just go to the gym for like hours. I mean, like hours. And I got kind of buff for like the first time in my life. And I went to go play soccer, which I've been playing since I've been a child, and my ankles couldn't handle it. I was not like, I couldn't dance around the way I used to. And it hit me. I was like, oh my God, like I'm just a block. I'm
I
just
think there was
buff
no,
and
you were not
jacked.
functional at all.
It wasn't functional. And
I remember when you fucking twisted your ankle, bro. We laughed at you for that.
well, that was different. I basically slipped and like
You like
tore my
yeah,
MCL.
under like your own weight or something like that.
Yeah. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed getting the PRs, and not everyone is like a big body lifter, and that's what Mathal was kind of telling and talking about in the start, is that everyone thinks, you look at these Instagram people and you're like, this is obtainable. It's like, no, that's their full-time job. Like if I had to wake up and just go to the gym, I would be a different type of beast, right? I do this in between everything else in my life. So be healthy, choose to be fit, because that's so much more fun, and you have to bring the ego down. So that's what I did. After being that like, I finally got that size, and you look good and all that. But then I'm like, I want a new challenge. I want to be as functional and mobile as possible. Still have muscles and look as strong as I can, but to be able to like access your entire body, right? So my new thing is like trying to do a handstand. I'm actually getting really, really good at it, but I just can't stand still. But I can stay up on my hands for a decent amount of time. But stuff like that will stabilize your core, right? These things all act and help you when you are lifting the weights and you're doing anything else, because you're never getting under something and just bench pressing it. Like, learn to be functional. Again, this is my personal kind of preference, but it's made my body both uh, gives you that physical attraction, and it gives you that ability to be as healthy, mind and body.
Yeah, I think besides the working out, I think one thing that differs between us is the way we approach food and nutrition. So for you, it's just like we've always joked, you can kind of eat whatever you want and you'll be fine. And when it comes to like if we will meal prep our food together, then we'll have like little arguments or fights or whatever. But like I like tracking what I'm eating and stuff like that. But things like condiments or whatever it is, right? You can easily go real high with these condiments, and I have to be able to know how much I'm eating. Otherwise, in my body, it doesn't work. And like we'll argue and stuff like that. Seasonings is a big one,
The
right?
argument is seasoning. Like, this guy will tell me to calm down on the seasoning. For me, if I'm cooking my own food, it's already being healthy. It's already healthy, right? And I know a lot of people are going to get upset, but that's what it is. Like, I think you have to, and I've always told Madhav this, you have to make the food good enough to come back to, right? Otherwise, you create a toxic mindset towards it. If we are going to talk about diet, then that's what it is. Like, if you're adding too much seasoning, or you're maybe putting a little bit too much sauce, yeah, some people at some points in their life need to be tracking all those things. But if you're in a full routine, like, make your food taste good. You have to make it taste good. You have to want to come back to it tomorrow, because outside food and garbage is always going to taste better than the food that you cook. I mean, not always, but most of the time, because it's repeatable. So make sure it's consistent and repeatable so that you want to come back to it.
Yeah, I think it was just more general stuff. I tell you, like some seasonings had like tons of sodium, so I'd be like, yo, let's chill on that. But I agree. Maybe I would get a little bit too specific into that and miss the bigger picture. But it was just like healthy alternatives to things like sauces or whatever, right? But again, like you learn how things work. I agree. You definitely got to make your food tasty. Like I remember when I first started meal prepping, and I consider myself now to be a pretty good chef. But when I first started meal prepping, all I knew was no oil and no seasoning. and chicken breast. So I would make my chicken breast with I think maybe raindrops worth of oil and the Mrs. Dash no salt seasoning. And I ate that for a long time and it was terrible. I would wash my dry ass chicken down with water because of how bad it was. And it was not sustainable. So I agree with you.
No, he's totally right though. Like I do love my sauce and I love my anybody who knows me knows I love ranch. But like seasoning and stuff like that. I don't know. Again, I get away with it. Maybe one day it'll catch up with me, but I have a fast metabolism. Uh like I it's remarkable the stuff I can get away with and eat and still maintain a really healthy
It works for you.
it works for me. And so that's what I think what people can take away from this though is yeah, you don't have to go and eat burgers and stuff like me and still and not think that it's bad for you. It is bad. And I know it's bad. I just know I can get away with it for a while, but listening to your body is the main thing. I listen to my body and I'm like, okay, I can do this and it won't be, I won't feel it tomorrow, maybe one day, but not for a while have I felt major changes if I eat unhealthy. So listen to your body. And that's the main thing. What I mean by that is almost like down to a point of nervous system. You won't be eating something and know that it's affected you because you don't know what's affected you. There's too many variables. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, and don't make toxic habits with your food and with working out. Working out is the number one thing for your brain activation. It's the number one thing for having a healthy mindset and staying healthy. So find a way to get a good relationship with that, and then find a good way to have a relationship with your food too, because eating is important. I sometimes don't eat till like 4 p.m. My parents and people are like, "What are you doing?" Right? I don't have to. I don't want to.
You gotta enjoy life too. Like there's a time where like in the beginning when I didn't know anything about cooking food, I would just cook like the worst stuff ever, and it was not enjoyable, obviously. But given the fact that I would say I'm quite healthy, and both kind of like physically and just kind of like on the inside. But I will still eat like good food, like call it junk food or outside food or McDonald's or whatever. I will still choose to eat that every now and then, not all the time, like every now and then because I enjoy it. It keeps me happy in the grand scheme of things because we live normal lives, right? At the end of the day, like we're not like professional bodybuilders. We want to enjoy food. We want to go to nice restaurants, but in all of that, we make healthy choices, and I don't think you can outwork a bad diet if you're just eating bad stuff all the time, obviously, but enjoy life. I've learned that just through experience, and I'm sure people who are kind of going through the process of working out, meal prepping, dieting, whatever you want to call it, you got to enjoy life. You got to enjoy the food because at the end of the day, it's you're not building a body just for the physical looks. You'll realize that at one point. It comes down to when you get older in age, when you realize that your body is starting to shut down because you haven't really taken care of it, and that's a really sad thing. Um, and the rest of it is just enjoying experiences with your family and friends when it comes to good food and stuff like that, right?
How much are you seeing that with um, people like the generation above us, almost like our parents, where you have parents where they're like, they took care of it early, they're super healthy, and you can see it, and they're thriving because of it. And then you just have those parents that are like, they're kind of like physically done at 55, 60, where they didn't prepare properly. Maybe it was, for various reasons, but I think everyone has enough time to be taking care of themselves. And then you're kind of just like cooked at an older age, and then you can't do anything. You're kind of like, your knees are buckled, like blah, blah, blah.
Generalized. But this is one of those times where like it's a generational thing where we are really putting health before other stuff, right? Our parents didn't really have the privilege sometimes to be able to put their like a gym membership or healthy eating ahead of their responsibilities. So we have that privilege, and also we have that knowledge, right, to do so because we prioritize these kinds of things.
I agree, but I also somewhat disagree. Like, that's a choice you made, right? I'm not saying that you can get away with doing 10 push-ups every day or something like that, but you're alive for 50 years if you haven't figured out that your health is vital to your brain function and that you think better and you have a mental clarity when you've had some fitness in you, then like that's on you. Like I'm not
It's hard to
I'm a little
justify. I
strict
know.
on that. I'm a
Yeah,
little
it's
strict.
hard to
I'm a little
justify.
strict because you need, like, you're going through life, right? Some people have problems like genetically maybe that they just, you know, if they're overweight that they can't control it. But I'm talking about, again, the average me and you's. Um, if you got to figure it out sometime that you got to be healthy, and if you're not, it's on you. Like, you can start very small, right? Our parents didn't let you work out or me work out. It was always like something that they kind of stopped us because they had their Indian voodoo beliefs, blah, blah, blah. But I would
They
do
thought
push,
we stopped growing or something
yeah,
like
I
that.
would do
Yeah.
push-ups in my room. And now I'm all calisthenics now because of that. Like, I just did push-ups in my room and there was no excuse. I would do sit-ups in my room. They wouldn't let me go to the gym, so I would just do whatever I could and exhaust myself in that way. And so I was strong as a kid and it kept me that way. And like, this kind of reminds me of a little story. Uh, Whenever I have done like nice hikes and like climbed some cool mountains, like I would see these like dads running past me, and I'm like, I turn around and be like, man, like what what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, this guy's like 60 running by me on like a 3 hour, 4 hour hike. Like, what do you do? He's like, I didn't start working out when I was 50. I didn't start working out when I was 40. I started working out when I was 20. If you want to be fit by 60, you don't start 10 years ago. Like, these are habits you build. These are things you have to kind of, a lifestyle you create, you know? Yes, you can get fit in 10 years, but the first 5 of them will be learning, right? How to get fit or how to work out or what even works for you, the way I know what works for me now. So I don't have to follow all these gimmicks and these fitness people online. They're there because there's such a big audience of people who don't know what their body does and how to optimize their fitness or health towards their own unique physique. And so, like, it's a crazy thing. Like, these guys are, I saw like these senior people just ripped out of their mind, man. Like, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I want to be that. I want to be 60, 70, whatever it may be, on a mountain or something like that. Like, that is when I have all the time. If I haven't figured out money by then, there's something else wrong. And fitness is the last kind of pillar there. Anyways, I think we're going to have to probably discuss this in future episodes. And we love this topic. We already see ourselves getting too excited on this, but we have a lot to share. This is like a general overview, but we've seen a lot of obstacles in this way. So we'll get into all of that and the athleticism, and we'll be talking to a lot of athletes as well. Some of our friends and some people we know. But to wrap this up, I think, you want longevity in your health, in your mind. There's certain do's and don'ts, but at the end of the day, find a way to listen to your body, what it reacts to, and then build a healthy lifestyle around it so you can live longer and you can live healthy longer, because then you can do more.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Audio Jungle.
Yo, let's hope this one's long.